So the observation side of me is, I remember watching a movie with Diana Ross in it and a guy named Billy D. Williams called Mahogany. And he was a black man. He was very smooth, very nice. And I saw how he would open up the doors for her in the movie. And I was super young. And I thought, I want to be a guy like that someday that opens doors for women. I was super young.
Wow, okay.
So education, watch, then observation, conversation.
Yeah.
Some of the reason that Tim Storey has been able to do what I'm doing is conversations with people who cared about me. Like today, they had the funeral of one of my dear friends, Lee Iacocca, and they just did it in Detroit, and I watched it online. And Iacocca, he took me under his wing at age 27. So could you imagine a kid that came from Compton originally, was now hanging out with the Lee Iacocca, starting at 27. A person like a Quincy Jones took me under his wing at age 28. So I think a lot of what I'm about right now is even through the conversations that I've had with very smart people, both male and female.
So, but what was it like when you started educating yourself? Like, how old were you when you started researching, oh, there's more to life and I want to become a master at learning how to help other people? Like, there must have been a first topic, a first something.
Yes. Larry King said something really great when somebody was interviewing him. He says, one of the keys to being a really good person who interviews is to be curious. So I'm curious at all times.
Yes.
I am super, super curious. So it wasn't that I wanted to be educated so I didn't feel left out or not smart. I'm curious.
Naturally, yeah.
Naturally curious. So if somebody tells me about an island that I'd never heard of, I'm not even joking. I'm on it. Without them even knowing, I'm looking. Or a word that I've never heard of, if someone uses it in a sentence, I want to know the synonym, anonym. I'm going back and forth. I want to know all the different ways to use that word. So the curiosity has been my strength.
So that's how you started, and then that happened, and then how did it become, like, what was your first time speaking, and how old were you, and what was this, oh, I'm going to be a speaker now, or how did it all begin for you?
Okay, so I think that in some ways our stories are parallel here because of us knowing each other as friends, okay? So when you got into the pageants and you won, your life just started to shift.
Yeah, it did.
And so what happens is that it was a series of break after break after break after break that led to this like huge breakthrough. And I love how Oprah, she quotes me on this, and she even put me in her new book on this, about that life is not one big break. It's a series of little breaks that lead sometimes to a massive breakthrough.
That's very true.
And so what happened is that in becoming educated at inspiring people, it started off at YMCAs, boys clubs, inner city schools, but it's not like I had these lofty plans to speak to 85,000 people, which I have at one time, or to get 2,000 invitations a year. That I never saw. I just went through the break. I went through the break and then got another break. I went through the break and got another break, and then I started getting massive breaks over and over and over.
So would you say that you let life come to you more than you seeking
100%.
out for life to happen?
Okay, so you just set me up for something great here. Okay.
I'm doing it on purpose.
I do not believe in chasing anything. I don't chase goals. That's why I'm this laid back, is that, see, I believe that all of us has been spoken over. I believe the universe has spoken over our lives. So I don't chase anything. I cooperate with what the universe has already said. So I was born to be Tim Storey. So I never chased it in this town. So people always say, like, how did you become like the life coach to so many famous people? I never chased one. In fact, I've turned so many down just because I just didn't want to do it. So I feel like we're simply cooperating with what the universe has already said. And in order to do that, we need to slow down to the speed of life so we can actually listen.
Yeah, you talk a lot about that, actually, about
Yes.
just being still.
Yes.
and then allowing life to come your way.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people suffer, and I've had moments in my life too where things might not be going the way that you, or the habits that you had in the past are not working now.
Yes.
And you're seeking and trying and trying. I mean, I'm sure that you work with people like this all the time. Yeah, but I'm working so hard and I'm trying to make this happen. I'm doing everything I can. Why does it happen for some and not others? And what do you think about the whole work thing? Like you work hard and then you get, right?
So I think that part of it is getting better. So if I work with a client, it's never trying to get you from A to Z. It's to get you from A to B. I want you just to get better, okay? So if you weren't good in relationships, get better in 2019. Get better in 2020. If one of your children is having trouble and you want me to work with them, I'm not trying to just save the kid overnight. I want them to get better, because better is an amazing thing. Better makes you feel better. And when you start to feel better, things begin to shift. So that's how I look at life. And it's a saying that I've been saying for years, that, you know, you may not be what you want to be, but thank goodness you're not what you used to be. Mm-hmm. So if you look at your life of you in your 20s, right? Mm-hmm. Look how much growth you've had. If I look at my life at where I am right now, I've grown a lot. And so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the process.
So what would you say was one of your biggest, whether it be spiritual or emotional or whatever it is, obstacles that you've had to overcome in your life?
Yeah, I would 100% say divorce, because I think that for me, I waited, you know, to get married. I was 25, but because of going to seminary, I lived a different type of life than most people. I was almost like a monk. So I waited till I was 25. I married into a very powerful family. So I remember talking to my father-in-law and saying to him, you know, I want to marry your daughter. And, you know, I was having this talk and him saying what an outstanding young man he thought I was. And then to have a talk with him 10 years later and say, we've been going to marital counseling for 3 years and it's still not working. What came with that? Shame, guilt, regret, confused. And it took me a long time to get through that, because see, divorce means divided force. So you had force, and now you have divided force. So even if you don't get along, that divided force, it hurt. And I really didn't know how to handle it. I really didn't. I didn't do that well through it emotionally.
So how does somebody like you, who now helps so many other people, how do you get through these emotional blocks that you deal with, because you're human?
Yes. So one of the good things about failing is that it gives you the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. So that's what Henry Ford said, okay? So failure gives you the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. So when I realized that I did not have the tools to get up properly from the divorce, because I'm kind of private, so I didn't discuss it with people. Even though I had a therapist, I hardly discussed it with my therapist.
Right, which happens a lot though.
Yeah, he would say like, how are you doing? I'd say, great.
Great, that's it. Great. When meanwhile he knows that you're there for a reason.
Yeah, and I'd leave an hour later, you know, I was still all wounded. So, so me at this stage of my life, I'm realizing that to be vulnerable is okay. To not be okay is okay. To be left when I want to be right is okay. So I wish I had known that then, but I know it now. And I've become a really great ex-husband. I just talked to her last night. I talked to her probably 3-4 times a week. And we, you know, my children are older now, but we co-parent to the children. And so it was a hard lesson, but a lesson that I learned a lot from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talk a lot about, in order to go right, you're going to go left. Like
Yes,
your
yes.
life is going to go left in order to go right.
Right.
So share that philosophy.
Okay, so the thing is, I feel that every morning we wake up, if you were to go to social media first, you're going to see a lot of things where people are posting that life is so right.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, I'm in Europe, I'm feeling it, my hair is great, everything's happening, right? Okay.
But those are the ones that have like the millions of followers
Yeah.
too. It's never the
So-
ones that are like, my life sucks, right?
Yeah, so to be right is to be germane, apropos, in the groove, in sync. So we are just pushed with the right so early in life. But sometimes life is left, as we both know. Rejected, forsaken, it didn't work, we got disappointed. So I started speaking a message about 22 years ago. Sometimes you got to get left before you get right.
Right.
And to be left, sometimes you feel set on the left and you feel like you've now settled on the left. But then I threw in another one, but you can learn to get seasoned on your left that will cause you to soar right. And so I feel that that is the strength of Tim Storey, is that I got so seasoned in my pain. I got so seasoned. Like I learned how to communicate with people. I'm empathetic more than I've ever been.
Because of you've had other tragedies I know happen in your life too.
Because of the pain and the tragedies and the things that I've seen. Mm-hmm. And so those things on the left became a library and a sanctuary. A library of learning and a sanctuary of depth. But I'm not going to interview the person interviewing me, but I've got that from you in our conversations too. And challenges in your life, it took you deep, even spiritually, where you went into a deeper place and got even a stronger foundation.
Yes.
Yeah, so the
Definitely,
left helps
for
you to
sure.
get right through the library and the sanctuary.
Yes, and I think it also helps you become more in touch with who you really are.
100%.
Because you have nothing else to,
Yes.
grab onto that's false. We're all. But so with that philosophy, like, when would you say, I know that you had the divorce and you've had some tragedies in your life. What is it like what was it like during one of those moments for you to sort of finally get out of it? And how did you do that? Like, what were some of the tools that you used?
Yeah, so I think part of the tools is, number one, you have to become awake, and some people are not. So what they do is they become human doings rather than human beings, where they get too busy, so they don't feel the pain, or they get addicted to something, so they don't feel the pain. So number one,
So they're running in a way, like
they're running.
just, and a lot of people are doing things. You're saying they're busy, so it's not. That's interesting. Like overworking, doing this and that. They're out all the time.
most people.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to become awake. And then number two is you become aware. So I become awake, and now I got to be aware of my surroundings. And then the number three is you got to take inventory. And you got to get real with what your life is really about. Like, okay, Tim, you're a really good motivational speaker. That's why everyone's asking you to speak. Mm-hmm. But you obviously have some intimacy issues because you will not even open up to your therapist. Funny, right? Mm-hmm.
Well, no, but it makes sense. And so, like, what do you do? What are tools that you use? Okay, well, you're saying that you become aware, and then
Awake, and then you take inventory, and then you now have to partner with people who are stronger than you in that area.
Interesting.
And that's where I've become a pro. I'm really good at this. Like, if I don't know something in finances, I'm not afraid to ask. If I don't know something about insurance, I'm going to ask somebody about that too. If everybody is vegan now, I want to know why they're vegan. So I am open to look for help. And you know what I find is a lot of men are not.
No, that's true.
Yeah. I am. I'm open. I need the power of partnership. And if I'm in quicksand, I need somebody to help
Get you out. Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help, but they either want to be paid
Yeah.
or they want to be, there's always like some kind of thing attached to it. And it's hard because a lot of people that feel like they've hit rock bottom, they don't have the money and they don't have. So was it that you hired people to help you, or a mixture of both?
You just really touched something that's powerful, because it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, is that, when I got into what I do, I see myself first as a humanitarian more than a speaker who makes a lot of money to speak. I'm a humanitarian. I gave my life to help change people's lives, 75 countries of the world. The first time I ever got paid $50 to go speak at some youth retreat, I tried to give the guy the money back, okay? So I never had a mindset about the surplus, about the money. So this idea that everything is for hire really does wear me out. Yeah, because I think that the motive, right, is so important. And so, obviously to coach with me, there is a price, but the people that coach with me are usually men who make a lot of money, and they should pay, because at least I know they're going to show up on time. When they weren't paying, they didn't show up on time.
Yeah, but I know you well enough to know that you also coached enough people back in the day, or even once in a while you might take somebody on who's really, really struggling.
Still, that's what I was just going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
I would say 30% of my coaching I still do gratis, and I'm constantly making hospital visitations to people that I hardly even know. Someone will say, Tim, sorry, this is weird, but my cousin's a big fan of yours, and he is at Cedars-Sinai. I go, oh, that's wild. I got to go right down the street. I'll go see him. This is constant. This is constant.
Yeah.
This is my life. Yeah.
So, what makes you, where in your life, or what time in your life, or what makes you want to be a person of service to others?
When I saw somebody that was hurting worse than me, and
so that must have been
way
a while ago. Yeah.
Way back. And so, when my father passed away when I was 10 years of age, he passed away in a car accident. He was going through a green light. Someone runs a red light, hits my father, he dies. I'd never heard my mother cry. She's so strong, okay? And so when I heard my mother cry, it was not a good feeling. Whoa. But then I heard her cry again the next night, and then the next night. And something in me started being open to the cry of hurting people. Isn't that a wild thing?
Well, it's a cry I've heard it too, and it doesn't leave you.
Right. So in so many situations, whether I'm just going into a 7-Eleven to go get something, and there's somebody hurting and they're asking for money, but I know there's something more, and I know I can help. Or the fact that I'm doing so many things, like with prison reform that I do, and helping with the homeless, which I think you do as well. I'm open to the cry of hurting people because I understand that pain.
Because you've been there.
100%.
Wow. So do you, when people are in that pain, is often when people come to you, how do you navigate through that what are some of the first steps to get them out of that pain?
Yeah.
Especially when they're mourning loss or death, or, you know, these are like deep-seated.
So the thing about life that's interesting, there was a song by the Byrds back in the 60s that became the #1 song in England, and I think like #7 in America, and it's called Turn, Turn, Turn. It talks about times and seasons in life. There's a time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to be silent and a time to speak. Both you and I understand at this stage of our life that there are seasons in life. Like right now, I'm riding a really big wave, okay? But I also know what it's like to try to ride a miniature wave and stuff not work.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
But in the midst of my big wave, I still got left all in my wave. There's stuff left everywhere.
Right.
Like I'm going to do the funeral, and I won't mention the person, of somebody on Saturday who's very famous. I'll tell you after who it is. And that was my friend. And so I got a lot of pain going on, even though I'm riding this big wave. So going back to left and right. So I think it's okay if somebody says to you, how are you doing? I'm left, but I'm all right. Does that make sense?
Yes, very, very much so.
I'm a little left, but I'm all right. Because I think that life is always going to be left and right. There's times and seasons for everything.
But I also like that you're not dwelling on, oh, I'm this, I'm not doing okay.
Yes.
My friend just passed away, I'm suffering. Like, you're adding in the, but I'm right.
But I'm right, because I still have to ride that wave.
Right.
And to answer your question is that how do we get through this pain that we're in? Number one, we have to understand, when someone or something dies, the average mourning process is 2 years. And that is something that is emotionally in you, and to mourn is like an inner groaning, okay? So there are great people that are moving around today and that are watching us right now. They are mourning over something, right? A dream that did not work, a relationship that did not work, okay? And so just know that this is a natural part of life. So I call that the recovery zone. But don't get so caught up in the recovery that you miss your discovery. I don't mean to rhyme so much, but that works.
No, it totally works. But give me an example of that, like somebody who is recovering. Do you mean that sometimes there's gifts presented to you and you don't even know that they're there, and then
you're going to miss them, because recovery is singular. Meaning, watch, I have a cold, feed me chicken noodle soup, you know? I don't feel good, I can't go to school, you know, me. When somebody is in the recovery zone, it usually is singular. When you're happy, we go plural.
Very true.
Okay, so it's like, watch, I'm with my girls, woo, Vegas, okay?
Yeah.
That's plural.
That's true.
Okay.
We go into our caves, it's all singular.
Yeah, so
right?
when you're in the recovery zone, we usually go singular. When we're in the discovery zone, we usually go plural, we want to share. Yeah.
So is it, I know you talk a lot about the miracle mindset.
Yes.
So, which I want to talk to you about, but is it sort of like when you're in that recovery zone, if you can sort of change your thoughts in a way where you're in the other zone where you're plural.
Discovery zone.
Right. So if you could then, do you force? I mean, it's hard.
Okay, so I'm going to make this super simple with you, because you have an amazing child, okay? So if your child got injured and they came home and their finger was bleeding and they go, you know, I'm in pain. Okay, well, let me see where you're in pain. Okay, so you now found where the pain is. It's on the finger.
Yeah.
It's not here, it's not here, it's not here, it's here.
Yeah.
So we isolate the problem and we work on that. Okay, same thing in our lives as adults. Most people start thinking everything is wrong. No, it's not.
You're so
Let's
right.
isolate the problem. Is it physical? Is it mental, clarity of mind? Is it in your relationship? Is it in your job? Is it in your finances? Is it in your health? Let's isolate the problem, and then we can go from there. So fix the owie in the child, but also play. Also realize life is still good. So that's what we have to do even as adults. And
focus on that,
100%,
even when we're in our recovery
100%,
phase.
yes. Go through your recovery zone. Like if you were to get a cut, it'll bleed, bleeding stops. You get a scab, you might get a scar. Hopefully the scar goes away. There's a process. Same thing in the recovery that anybody is going through that's watching right now. But pay attention to the discovery, because you're living in a time that you prayed for a long time ago. So the moments that you are having right now and I'm having in life, these are the things you dreamt would happen when you were in Canada. That
you sure about that?
No, I'm talking about. See, but you have to understand.
I'm joking.
I know you're joking, but I also see you different than you see yourself, and you see me different than I see myself, because we all have blind spots.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I know your story, how you weren't like just having to be Miss Canada, and then that would lead to boom, 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 boom. I think you've just been good-hearted, and life evolved for you and took you to so many amazing places.
It did, yes.
Right?
It has, yes.
All right, so if you would have got so caught up in your recovery, you would have missed so much of that discovery.
Mm-hmm. I understand. So let's talk about the miracle mindset, because it's kind of on this same theme.
Yes.
And I know that you talk about that, so yeah, it's very interesting.
The miracle mindset is a must.
Right.
Because you're going to have a mindset of something. So a mindset is, this is your mind, and you're going to set it on something, okay? So you remember the days of the big old satellite dishes that you'd see everywhere. Mm-hmm. You used to see them a lot on people's houses.
Yes, the huge ones.
Even in poor neighborhoods.
Yeah, they were there.
They at least had a dish.
They had a TV.
Yeah, so wherever you would shift that satellite dish, that's what you would pick up, okay? So to me, the miracle mindset is not shifting your satellite dish on the negative things in your life, okay? Or all the wrongs, or how there's so many haters. That's one thing you'll never hear coming out of my mouth, is there's haters out there. What are we even talking about? I don't think that way, okay? So the miracle mindset is having a supernatural, magical, extraordinary mindset that you so fill your mind and your spirit with goodness that it comes out of your pores.
No matter what's going on in your life.
No matter what. So already, I do like this prayer meditation thing every day. So I've already read all these positive affirmations. I've already meditated and prayed. So I have so filled myself full of a certain mindset that I promise you that no matter what happens through the day, I'm going to handle it.
Very, very nice.
It's a mindset. It is a mindset. So, like, let's say, because you travel and I travel, okay? And you even had a travel show, didn't you?
I did.
And on that travel show, were there ever delays in your flights?
All the time.
Okay, so if you don't have the right mindset, you're going to go, oh, this is the last thing I need.
I wasn't like that at all. Yeah, you're right.
Not me.
You're so right.
You know what I'm thinking? Oh, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
I can now call people. I could return calls. I could read this book that I'm now reading.
Nice.
I'm going to go hide in the lounge. Boom.
Because it's very seldom when we freak out.
Yes.
There's actually something on the other end of that. Like, you weren't going to be late for something, and even if you were, it would end up working out. It's like, don't get caught up in all of that stuff.
Exactly. So the miracle mindset, I say, is your VIP pass to anywhere. I honestly believe that my mindset is one of the things that takes me to all these places that blow me away.
Nice.
Oh, and yeah. I'm living way over my head.
And you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I am.
Because I know that there's also talk about, science behind it, too.
Yes, it's the truth, yeah.
That is the truth.
Yeah,
so
100%. Sure. I mean, there's people that don't even have faith in God, and they're getting healed of cancer just because of their mindset.
They're healing their own bodies.
They just see themselves getting better.
Yeah.
They see themselves out of a situation. Oh, yeah. I'm very into visualization, and I see myself in the certain places, and then when it manifests, it's almost deja vu.
I love that.
Oh, no, I saw myself as one of Oprah's really great friends. Like,
for years, like you just knew.
But we're great friends.
Yeah.
Not just like, we're really good friends. But I saw that was going to happen. I just did. I would watch her on TV, and I'd go, oh, that's funny. I can't wait to talk to her about that. And I had never even met her.
It's interesting because some of the biggest successes I've had winning Miss Canada and being on television for so many years, I saw it too. Clear as day. There was no plan B.
Yes.
That was the plan.
Yes.
And it's funny how crystal clear you get.
Exactly. So what that should do is build your confidence on what you see in the future can really, really happen.
But is it becoming crystal clear on that? Is it knowing exactly what you want? What if you don't know and you're like, well, this could happen, or maybe I want that, or what do you do with people that don't really know where their next chapter in their life?
Okay, so do you mind if I rhyme again?
No.
Okay.
Love it.
Rhyming has made me a lot of money.
I remember, it sure has. That's how we remember things.
Okay, so some things you decide, some things you discover. People are tripping too much on the whole decision thing. See, you know, life is like a diner, and it is like a restaurant where they'll bring you the menu and then you have to look at what they have and you have to decide. But people are trying to rush order their lives. Like, is this relationship going to work? Or should I take that job? Oh my God, I'm so stressed. Some things you decide, but some things you discover. Sometimes you just have to wait on it and just go, wow, I'm not ready. Can you come back to the waiter or waitress, right?
Yeah.
And just give me a beat. Give me a moment. Don't you like this? And I think your dream has a voice, and silence yourself and let that dream start talking. I'm at this stage of my life, I'm really led by right here.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
And is it a feeling for you, like when you know it's the right decision, you feel it here?
Okay.
More than, do you know what I mean? Because I do
Of
feel here and
course.
I feel here. And
But let's get back to parenting just for a second, because
Sure.
I have 2 kids.
yeah.
Is that the more I got to know my children when they were young, the noises that they made, I knew what was going on. If they were arguing with each other, I knew if it was a big argument or a small argument, right? Or if they cried, I knew if it was a serious cry
Yeah.
or not so serious. Would you agree?
Yes, you know. Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like over time, even with ourselves, we are learning to manage ourselves and also hear what our heart is trying to tell us.
Try so much so.
Isn't this
so,
powerful?
It is, but it's the confusion behind it sometimes kills me. It's
Yes.
like, is it my heart? Is it not? Am I being? You don't know. How do you know it's your
But
heart?
let me tell you what I like that you do, because I know some things you do. You are willing to get away and go do things. Like, I'm going to be away for a week. I'm going to this retreat. Who are you going with? I'm going by myself.
Yeah, I've done a lot of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is so important because life is like a battleground. You can't just stay on the battleground. You got to go to the holy ground, then the battleground, then the holy ground, then the battleground. Most people stay on the battleground, the battleground, the battleground.
Way too long.
It's hard to hear in the
yeah.
midst of this LA traffic. I've got to go to a holy ground, whether it's the mountains, whether it's the beach, whether it's just a quiet place, whether it's sleeping in and not feeling guilty. Definitely, you got to go to that quiet place.
And that's how you become more connected with your heart.
100%, because again, your dream has a voice and it's trying to communicate, but you keep turning down the volume with all this other stuff that's going on in your lives. Like, I clearly told a guy yesterday, I will call you back at 5 o'clock because I am coaching people until that. And he kept calling me and calling me and calling me. So then I said, it must be emergency. So I called him back and I said, did you hear the message? He says, yeah, but I really need to talk to you now. It wasn't even an emergency. It's just the way he is. And so here's what I'm learning more and more. To quote Stephen Covey, somebody else's urgent is not necessarily ours.